Hello, this is my first ever vlog. I got told that I needed to do a vlog by a couple of my friends who know how big a Disney fan I am. And because I have been to Disneyland Paris 13 times in my life, in my 21 years, I was told that being an expert of Disneyland Paris, I needed to give my Disney expertise to the world. So I figured what I'd do is I'd create a vlog about all of the handy tips and tricks that I use when I'm going to Disneyland Paris to really get the most out of the trip. So I really hope you enjoy it. So the first thing I'm going to start with is the time of year that you should think about going to Disneyland Paris. If you are tied to school times, half terms and Easter holidays will be a lot better than summer holidays, because the summer holiday is often really busy and full of guests. If you can get to the park in off-peak times, so during school term time, it will be a lot cheaper and a lot quieter for you. Although some people do tend to like going for themes, so March to the Easter holidays tends to be something called Swing into Spring, or anything to do with spring theming, which is always really nice. So Thumper and Bambi and those sort of characters are often quite prominent there. But for this year, they are doing the 25th anniversary celebrations in March, so that won't be happening this year. October is my favourite time to go, October half term, because it's Halloween themed and Halloween is amazing. It's spectacular, everything's covered in pumpkins, and the Disney villains are the most prominent characters in all the parades and shows and theming. It's just a fantastic time of year to go, so I'd really recommend going in October if you can. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is how long to go for. It's a lot of people ask this question. Is it okay to go for a day trip? Will I see everything? How long is too long? Those sort of things. So I would say if you're staying somewhere near Paris and would like to go for a day trip, that's possible, but you may not get everything done. So you might need to prioritise things that you want to do and plan from there, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. The ideal length is probably 3 days, 2 in the Disneyland Park and 1 in the Walt Disney Studios Park. If you can go for longer, it's a lot better because there's plenty of things to see, particularly in peak periods where everything is open. Do make sure, if you are booking on the website, do make sure you check the refurbishments page, because the last time I went, which was a couple of months ago, there were a lot of rides that were shut because they're planning for the 25th anniversary. So what you do want to do is check the refurbishment page and potentially think about going a different time if your favourite ride is shut. So Pirates of the Caribbean is my favourite ride, and that was shut the entire time that I was there last time. It didn't ruin the trip, I still had a fantastic time, but it's a ride that I definitely would like to go on when I go. So just be aware to check the refurb page to make sure that Disney aren't doing anything to your favourite attractions at the time that you want to be there. It is best to go to Disneyland Paris when it's raining. And I know that sounds insane, but it is true. It's a lot quieter. There are less day trippers because they're put off by the rain, and the hotel guests are more likely to kind of hang in the hotel to hope that the rain will pass. So especially early in the morning, it's really good when it's raining. So providing that you don't mind getting slightly soggy, it's a really good time to go. And there are some secret sneaky walkways in the parks that can keep you dry for quite a long journey. So think about Liberty Arcade and Discovery Arcade, which are the two long strips down the side of Main Street, USA. If you go out of Liberty Arcade, walking towards the castle, and you turn left, you can actually go all the way to Frontierland undercover in a walkway, so that's really good. So the Disneyland Paris parades are twice a day. It's definitely worth watching at least once, especially if you like the characters, because you get to see a lot of characters in quite a short period of time, because they just come down on the floats down Main Street, and providing you've got a really good view, you'll be able to see a lot of the characters and they can wave at you. Once you've done one parade, it might be worth using that time to go on bigger and busier rides, because people are likely to flock to Main Street for the parade about 30 minutes before the parade begins. So get yourself a program, which you can find in the main entrance of the park, and use the parade times that are on there to go on the big rides. Similarly to the parade times, a really good thing to do is to eat lunch either before 12 o'clock or after 2 o'clock, because peak times for food are between those hours. If you eat before 12 or after 2, you'll not only avoid the busy food courts and restaurants, but you'll also be able to make use of the quieter queues while the other park guests are having their lunch as well. Okay, so my next trick is to utilise the extra magic hours. So if you're staying in one of the 7 Disney hotels on site, it's a very, very good idea to make use of the extra magic hours that they offer. So extra magic hours is an extra 2 hours, 8 AM to 10 AM, designed for the hotel guests to use the park before it's open to the general public. It's usually available in the Disneyland Park, but occasionally it's available in the Studios Park too. Not all of the attractions are actually open, but most of Fantasyland is open, some of Discoveryland is open, and most of the shops are open as well. But the thing it's the best for is for meeting the characters. If you want to do meet and greets with your favourite character, particularly the original Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Daisy, Goofy, Pluto, Chip and Dale, if you want to meet them, the lines will be really short during extra magic hours, and as soon as it hits 10 AM and the general public can come in, the lines will be really busy and it'll be really tricky to meet them without having to queue for a long time. So it's really good to do extra magic hours to get the most out of the fact that you're staying in a hotel. Now my biggest tip is, at the end of extra magic hours, if you're in the Disneyland Park, it's best to head straight to the Walt Disney Studios Park. And queue up somewhere around 9:20 in the morning, because although the park doesn't officially open until 10 AM in the studios, the cast members tend to open it up by 20 to 10 at the latest, to allow the guests to kind of mill around and get towards their favourite attractions for 10 o'clock. The rides won't actually open until 10 AM, so be aware of that, but Crush's Coaster tends to open before 10 AM. So Crush's Coaster is one of the busiest rides in the whole of Disneyland Paris. So as soon as the studio gates open, everybody flocks to Crush. So that's why it opens early. Crush is the only big and busy ride that doesn't have a fast pass service, and I will cover fast passes later in the video. And because it doesn't have a fast pass, it means its queues are never less than 45 minutes. So if you head straight there in the morning, you'll avoid queues of a long length. If you're heading back into the Disneyland Park from the Studios Park, and it's still the morning, or if you're a day tripper starting at 10 AM in the Disneyland Park, the best advice I can give is to grab yourselves a map from the entrance, the same place you can get the programmes from, and then head straight to the back of the park. So Pirates of the Caribbean, Indiana Jones, Peter Pan, all of those rides are at the back. Most people start at the front and work their way to the back, getting on rides in the process, so by the mid-afternoon the back is very busy. But in the morning, there's nobody there, and you can walk onto the rides at the back of the park without an issue. Pirates of the Caribbean will take 5 minutes to walk on, and that's only because the queue is 5 minutes long to walk it. Meal plans. Now, I would strongly suggest buying a meal plan for at least breakfast at your hotel, to save you from worrying about that for every morning that you're there. If you've booked your trip without using a meal plan, you will have to fork out for all of the meals in the trip. If you have booked breakfast and you're on a bit of a budget, I would suggest finding the restaurants that have set menus, because you can find a list of them online on the website. And they offer decent sized meals for about €12, which is somewhere around £10. Another useful tip is to bring your own snacks into the park, in a rucksack or a bag that you have with you. So then you can snack all day and then only have one meal a day potentially after your breakfast. Providing you're not bringing a picnic hamper, because Disney don't like that, providing you're not bringing a picnic hamper, you can bring snacks into the park, contrary to popular belief. You can bring snacks in and you can bring drinks in. Plan ahead. Now this is a really big one, especially if you're going at peak periods or you're only there for 1 or 2 days. Planning ahead is really important. If you look at the website or on one of my upcoming videos about the Disneyland rides, you may want to prioritise the attractions and shows that you want to visit before you leave. Once you've done that, you can then plan the fast passes and what order to do the rides in to make it the most sensible order of the day. And that brings me nicely onto fast passes. So the fast pass in Disneyland is basically a facility where you book a time slot to come back to selected busy rides and queue for a much shorter amount of time than you would do on the standard queue. To get a fast pass ticket, you need to go to the front of the ride, find the fast pass machines, scan your park ticket, and then you'll get another ticket pop out with a half an hour slot on it. So for instance, 10:35 to 11:05. You need to return to the ride during that one time slot and be allowed to access the fast pass entrance. You need to note that you can only have one fast pass at a time. It's not like Walt Disney World in Florida. You can only have one at a time, and in order to get a second one, the first ticket must have been used or expired, or the second ticket time needs to be 2 hours after the first one. I hope that makes some sense. The rides that have a fast pass facility are in the Disneyland Park, Big Thunder Mountain, Peter Pan's Flight, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Peril, Space Mountain Mission 2, and Buzz Lightyear Laser Blast. And in the studios, it's Tower of Terror, Rock and Roller Coaster, Ratatouille, Flying Carpets over Agrabah, and not Crush's Coaster. So bring your own water bottle into the park, because Disney prices are really high, so to avoid being overcharged for one bottle of water, or 4 for a family, bring one into the park with you and fill it up at the water fountains, which can always be found outside the toilets. So look at your map, look for the restroom symbol on the map, and it will lead you to many water fountains. There's even shorter ones for the children if they want to fill the water bottle up themselves or just take a drink there. I thought it would be a really good idea for me to highlight the rides with usually short and usually long queues. Really good rides with usually quite short queues are Pirates of the Caribbean, that I mentioned earlier. Phantom Manor, that's a strange one, because sometimes it's really busy, but quite often it's not busy at all. It's only about 10 minutes, so if you're willing to wait 10 minutes, it's a really nicely themed queue as well, so it's not too bad just to wait 10 minutes for it. The Mad Hatter's Teacups, quite often they're only about 10 minutes, and they're really good fun, particularly with small children. It's a really good ride to go on. It's a Small World. I've never seen It's a Small World more than 15 minutes wait, and I've been to Disneyland Paris 13 times now. I've never seen it more than 15 minutes, and it's just such a lovely ride to go on, particularly with children as well. And Indiana Jones, it's one of the fast passes, it's one of the big roller coasters, but actually because it's right at the back of the park, it's not often more than 20 minutes, so that's a really good one to go on too. Really good rides with quite long queues: Big Thunder Mountain, Space Mountain, Crush's Coaster, Ratatouille and Peter Pan. And as I've said before, the only one out of them that does not have a fast pass is Crush's Coaster, so the other ones are worth getting fast passes for because they're really good rides but are often very busy. Obviously these times aren't set in stone, it depends on what time of year, what time of day, but it's a rough idea for you. I am planning to do a separate video on the rides of Disneyland Paris, so keep a lookout for that where I'll go through them in more detail. Now for the moment, that appears to be everything, but if you have any questions or queries or comments about Disneyland Paris or the topics that I've discussed in today's vlog, comment on the video and I'll be thrilled to answer them. Some upcoming vlog ideas include the Disneyland restaurants, the Disneyland hotels, the rides, what to bring in a bag and what to wear to the parks. So I hope you enjoyed yourself and thank you for watching.